Hey guys, welcome back to Heart Breathings. I am right there with you wherever you are. And if you clicked on this video because you have been dealing with some feelings of disappointment, then you are not alone. So today I'm going to give you a couple of tips, well actually 3 tips about how to deal with your disappointment. So this is all about being disappointed in yourself, being disappointed in how your goals are going, and also just being disappointed for the things you might be missing or the things that you've lost during this time. So let's get started with these tips. I hope you're going to find this helpful. So I am recording this on Friday night. The baby is upstairs crying, so I'm going to be like running up and down trying to get her soothed and letting her cry for a couple of minutes. I have spit up on my brand new shirt. My hair is no longer curled because I've been out in the humidity. And you know what? This is just life amidst the coronavirus. So I know that one of the things that I've been struggling with lately is this feeling of disappointment. And this is going hand in hand, like I said in the intro, with not only feeling a little bit disappointed in myself for various things, but also being disappointed about some of the goals that I had set for this year, some of the vision I had for 2020 that's just probably not going to be possible now, as well as some of the disappointment that I'm feeling about opportunities that are missed or vacations that are going to be missed and things that just, we're missing out on because we're stuck at home. So I'm going to talk about the things that have been comforting me the most during this time. So here are my 3 tips for dealing with disappointment. And this is going to be true whether you're dealing with COVID-19 and the current situation as we are right here in 2020, but also in the future, just with any types of disappointment that you face when things don't exactly go the way you planned. So I think that right now, a lot of us are feeling like our disappointments are being amplified. Part of it's because we're home or we're dealing with a lot of other stress. So then it makes us, a lot of us anyway, start to really focus in on those things that we're upset that we didn't get done or that we're disappointed in ourselves about. So maybe you had a plan to self-publish eventually someday, and now you've just lost your job and you're thinking, I'm so disappointed in myself that I didn't get that career started because then I wouldn't need this job and I'd have extra money flowing in. Or maybe you're really upset with yourself because the house isn't cleaned up the way that you wanted it to be. You've been like too busy to keep things clean and now you're stuck in the house and it just feels like there's clutter everywhere. Whatever you've got going on, it can be amplified by the stress of the situation that we're all in right now. And it can make it seem like it's a lot bigger than it used to be, or it can just sort of focus us in on things that we were ignoring or putting off and procrastinating on. So I think that's where a lot of us honestly are right now. I know this is something I've been struggling with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present 3 alternatives, and I'm going to present them in a way of like, do this, not that. And I am going to share a few of my own personal struggles so that maybe you can identify with this and see what I'm talking about in the examples. So talking about the extra income. So there are a few disappointments that I am facing right now. So you can see from my Kanban board, and I've talked about this before, actually you can't really see, but this first goal right here, the green goal, there's still a lot of sticky notes up there because I just have not been writing over the last year as much as I wanted to before. And what that has done for my sales is put them lowest they've been in several years. And so right now, the temptation for me is to get really, really disappointed in myself and my performance as a writer and say, man, I shouldn't have let that income get so low because now sales are going to be harder to come by and I'm, not working with this momentum that I used to have. And I really should have done that before because it's going to be harder than ever now. So that's one of the disappointments that I'm facing. Another disappointment that I'm facing that I'll use in these examples is a more personal thing, not necessarily related to my writing, but it is related to how I'm feeling right now. And that's the fact that I have put on too much weight after the birth of my baby girl 7 months ago. So some of you have followed this channel for a while and you know that I was doing something called bright line eating, and I had cut all sugar and flour out of my diet and lost more than 50 50, 60 pounds to help myself get pregnant because I have a condition called PCOS. That worked. I had a very healthy pregnancy and gained a normal amount of weight. But just like with my son, when I had my daughter, that rebound hormonal stuff that happens when you have PCOS and you have a baby just hit me really hard. And instead of just having a little bit of weight to lose after she was born, I've actually gained weight since she was born. And I'm very disappointed in myself. Now, if we hadn't been stuck at home and had all of these extra stresses, I might have been okay just saying, well, this is normal. This happens to a lot of women with PCOS. I'll get that weight off and it'll be fine. But instead, I feel like that's been especially amplified because I feel like I'm so stressed that I see it more in the videos like, oh, I hate that I've gained this weight. I also am stressed about the fact that I want to go back on bright line eating, but I'm not in an emotional place with my stress, as well as the ability to go out to the grocery store 2 or 3 times a week to get fresh vegetables and stuff that I need to eat that way. And I'm saying, if only I had done it before. And I'm really upset with myself and disappointed that this is happening and getting in the way of losing this weight. So I think that the current amount of stress and anxiety is amplifying some of those things, making them seem more important than maybe they are. And so that's part of what I'm going to talk about. And let me know in the comments if you are feeling that too. Like maybe some things that you weren't as upset about are seeming more important or more like blown out of proportion, so to speak, than they used to be. So here's some of my tips and things that have been helping me. Tip number 1 is really to look to others for encouragement, not for self-judgment. So an example of this in regards to my two stresses that I'm dealing with. So particularly the weight loss. I was scrolling Instagram just a couple of days ago and saw someone who was super thin talking about how their body just hasn't bounced back and they just looked so skinny. And she's like, this is me 1 month postpartum. And it was just really a big trigger for me because I was like, haven't bounced back. You look better than I looked before I got pregnant. But it's like, that's her story. And that is not encouraging me. That was triggering me to self-judgment. And I think when we look at writing, so if I look at the other one too, about writing, a lot of this types of stuff is triggered by social media because honestly, a lot of us are on more social media now than we used to be looking for that connect. So we're going to stumble upon posts that are going to make us feel bad about ourselves. So some things will be encouraging. So pay attention to the people that you feel lift you up, that you feel encourage you, that you feel like, okay, that's making me feel better. They're going through the same things I am or whatever. But try your best to recognize when you're seeing something that is just amplifying that feeling of self-judgment and self-disappointment and step away from those types of posts. Doesn't mean you don't like that person. It doesn't mean you're going to stop following them forever, but it might mean, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a step back. Another place when it comes to the writing is, a lot of people and even life coaches and other writers out there are putting out content about how to write more, how to make the most of this time at home and how to be more productive. I even was posting stuff on my Instagram stories about how I'm cleaning up the house and stuff like that. That could be triggering for some people because they're like, I don't have the ability to clean up right now. And it sucks that she's so organized and so productive because I'm not being productive. So if that kind of stuff makes you feel triggered right now, it's better to step away than to allow it to continue to make you feel bad. It's totally okay right now to prioritize your own mental health and to say, this is making me judge myself in an unfair and unkind way. So I'm going to step back. I guarantee you that the majority of people that are posting things like that are honestly just trying to be helpful, or they're just trying to get through whatever they're getting through. So for example, me posting Instagram stories about cleaning up my house was meant to be encouraging and entertaining and, maybe motivational for some other people that want to. Plus it can be really satisfying to watch a closet go from completely crazy to looking organized. But it's not at all meant to say you should be just as productive as I am, because there are other ways in which I'm not being productive. So don't look at those people as if they're trying to make you feel bad and let it add resentment to your life. But at the same time, it's totally okay to step back from those types of posts that are making you feel bad and focus on the encouraging ones instead. My second tip is to acknowledge and mourn the loss of whatever it is you're disappointed about instead of trivializing it. So right now we're definitely in this point in time where there are some people who have things really, really bad. Obviously, there are people who are sick. There are people who are dying and losing loved ones. There are millions of people in the United States alone that have lost their jobs. It is a hard time for a lot of people. So when you start thinking about the things that are affecting your life, especially if you've got a lot going for you and things are going okay, you're just disappointed, the temptation is to say to yourself, well, yeah, I'm disappointed about that, but it's nothing compared to these other people. But the problem is when we trivialize the things that we're disappointed in, we kind of numb ourselves to what's going on around us. And I was listening to a podcast called Unlocking Us by Brené Brown, who I absolutely love. If you're not familiar with her work, she's incredible. And she was saying that we do that because we want to seem empathetic. Like, well, I know I'm upset about weight loss and my postpartum body, but I can't really be disappointed in that because I do have a roof over my head. So there are people that have it worse. So therefore, I shouldn't be complaining. But what happens is that doesn't make us more empathetic. It actually makes us less empathetic. So it's okay to feel what you're feeling, to acknowledge your own disappointment about things that other people might see as trivial, that compared to the death of a loved one is a trivial thing, like losing a vacation to Disney World. My sister was planning a vacation to Disney World. They'd been saving for her stepdaughter's 16th birthday for over a year, and that trip got canceled. Well, compared to a death in the family, that is a trivial thing, okay? It's a trip to Disney World. You can reschedule it later. But it's also extremely disappointing to lose something like that because of no fault of your own. You know, a senior missing out on their senior prom, or someone in college losing the chance to walk in their graduation. That might seem trivial compared to death and dying and all the other horrible things that are happening in the world that are permanent, but it's still a loss, and it is okay to acknowledge that loss and to mourn that loss. Now, you might not want to go on social media and talk about it every single day for the next 6 months about how depressed you are that you missed your Disney vacation, because you do need to put it in perspective to what other people are going through. But I think that if you try to shrug it off and not actually take the time to acknowledge what you're feeling and mourn the loss of it, that you're doing yourself a disservice. So for an example from my own life, my cousin Kim and I had been planning a trip together, and this will be the first time I've seen her in 7 years. We have Airbnbs booked in Florida on a Florida beach. We saved up money. We planned this whole thing, and now it's probably most likely not going to happen. And truthfully, it's not going to happen. And I am so disappointed about that. It makes me want to cry. Compared to what some people are losing and missing out on right now, it's trivial, right? But I have to allow myself to mourn that loss, to be upset about it for a little while, and then take a step back and gain perspective about, okay, my family is healthy and it's all going to be okay. But if I don't allow myself to feel the disappointment, then it's going to just fester inside me. So a big tip that I have for you is stop trivializing what you're feeling in terms of your own disappointment. Stop saying, well, compared to what everybody else is going through, I'm doing okay. It's okay for you to just say, I'm very disappointed in the fact that XYZ, and then gain some perspective about it and try to find gratitude in the things that you do have left. But yeah, it's okay to be disappointed, even if it's something that seems small to other people. And the third tip that I have for you is to focus on what you can control rather than what you can't control. So there are just things that really suck right now that we can't control. It's totally out of our control when we're going to go back to work or when we're going to be able to go out to restaurants anymore. That's not something that we're controlling or deciding in our world. So to sit and focus on that and the fear and what's going to happen with my job and what's going to happen with the market of ebooks. Is it still going to be viable to self-publish this novel I've been working on for years? If you focus on the things that you don't know and the things that you can't control, it is going to spiral to a point where you're having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, you're not sleeping well. And I know because I felt myself going down this path and starting to feel more and more anxiety. So I had to stop and put things in perspective and say, okay, what can I control here? I can control the way my environment looks to an extent. Now, I have a 7-year-old and a 7-month-old, so yeah, some things are going to get toys everywhere and whatever, but I can actually go through. And that's why I was doing that organization project that I was following on Instagram, because it's like I can control how my space looks and feels. And if things are a little bit cluttered, I can organize them. And that is something I can 100% control. And that gives me a sense of peace and clarity. I also can control how I show up for my audience. So I can control whether I want to continue doing videos and whether I want to, show up for you guys. I can control whether or not I want to write a story right now and, produce that for my fans. So that's something that I've been thinking about. It's like, okay, maybe control is a difficult word to use around writing, but I can control the amount of time I put toward this type of project. So after a year and a half of having a difficult time writing, I am actually writing again. And I'm writing every day and then reading what I wrote on my other channel, my Sarra Cannon YouTube channel that's more for my reading fans. And it's amazing. It's helping me out so much because it's giving me a daily writing practice and it's giving me a sense of creativity and control in a time when things are very uncertain. So it's like I can control how I show up in the world. I can control my attitude and my behavior toward my children. I can control my environment as much as possible. I can control whether I leave the house or stay home. So there are some things that are in your control. If I choose, I could focus on all the things that are out of my control. I could focus on the past, things I obviously can't control because that time is gone and I can't get it back. I could focus on the fact that we were trying to put our house up in Colombia. We own a house there and we were finally, after 3 years, trying to get it on the market. We just spent a lot of money trying to get it ready to go on the market. And now it's, up in the air whether or not the housing market is going to be sustained and we're going to be able to sell that house and buy one here. That's out of my control, whether or not that house is going to sell. It's disappointing because we were hoping to buy a house of our own rather than continue to rent. But it's not the end of the world. So I feel that disappointment. I acknowledge that disappointment, but then I step back, I put it in perspective and I say, this isn't going to last forever. Eventually we'll be able to sell that house and buy one here. But I cannot control right now what's going on with the real estate market. So I'm going to have to focus on the things I can control, like staying in contact with that real estate agent, getting the house properly on the market and what we're going to price it at, working on making sure this house is a nice place for us to live right now. So that gives me a sense of peace to focus on the things I can control. I can also control what type of marketing do I want to do for my books moving forward. I can't control what I did in the past and where I failed myself in the past if that's the way I choose to look at it. I can't go back in time and write more books so that my sales were better. I also can't change how many people are buying books and spending money on Amazon. That stuff is out of my control. So to ruminate on it and allow myself to just focus on that is just going to send me into a negativity spiral that frankly, I think would be very difficult to pull myself out of. So if you feel yourself focusing so much on the things that upset you, then I highly recommend that you step away, like I said, from the things that are triggering those bad feelings, acknowledge what you're feeling, and then let go and say, what can I control? What about this situation can I control and what is out of my control? And I know that it's very difficult because there are some really scary things outside our control right now, but it's not going to help to worry about them. It is not going to get you anywhere. You're not going to suddenly gain control because you worried about it so much. It's just out of your control. So work to identify what's within my control and what's out of my control and be proactive where you can. Right now, these are the things that are helping me the most and that are helping me move forward in a way that's productive. But like I said, if you're in a place right now where you just can't be productive, then don't compare yourself to people that are being productive because there's no guideline for what we're going through. There's no precedent for what we're going through. And some people respond in a way that they need to be productive. That's what they need, but it's not a judgment on you because just taking care of your basic needs right now, making sure you're fed and clothed and your family is home and safe is enough. You don't have to be writing 5 or 10 books. You don't have to be making the most of it. You don't have to be cleaning your space. You don't have to be dieting. There's nothing you have to be doing other than taking care of you and your family in the way that is best for you and your family. So Again, my biggest tips for you, I'm just going to reiterate this, is look to those that encourage you, not those that trigger your own self-judgment. Acknowledge and mourn the loss of the things you're disappointed in, the things you're disappointed about, but don't trivialize it. Don't say, well, it's nothing compared to what other people are going through. And then once you have felt that and really mourned it, don't stay there. Don't stay in that place of just being disappointed all the time. Instead, focus on what you can control. Focus on how you can move forward in the best way. If there is any other way that I can support you during this time, I am 100% here for you as much as I can be. If you want a little bit of an escape, I would love for you to come follow me on my Sarra Cannon channel, which is just youtube.com/Sarra Cannon. I am going live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern time to read an original story that I am writing as I go. It's just nothing but pure fun. And, it's just a way to give us all something to have a community around, to have chat every day, to have something to hopefully look forward to and even share with your family and your kids. And if you would love to join us, I would love to have you over there. It's been a really fun experiment. I've done, as of right now, 11 episodes. When you see this video, the 12th episode will be coming out later this afternoon. I take a break on Sundays just to have a day off, and then we'll start with episode 13 on Monday, and I'm hoping to continue it all the way through the following week and maybe beyond. So come check that out, catch up with the Witch's Key, and come join us. But if there's other videos that I can make for you, things that you'd like to hear, things that you would like to see, I've had a couple of requests for people to talk about how to start your own YouTube channel. So I might be doing something on that. I had planned to do an entire video series on how to write a series. So let me know in the comments if you think that would be helpful for you right now. I kind of rearranged my schedule for videos because I don't want to be insensitive to what's going on, and I want to be as helpful as possible. So if you have ideas, email me, sarah@heartbreathings.com, message me on Instagram, or put it in the comments down below, some things that you'd like to see that you think would be helpful during this time. But we're just kind of winging it here, and we don't really know how long this is going to last. So I hope that this video about how to handle disappointment when it comes to your writing, to your goals, and to the things that you've lost right now, I hope this helps. I hope that this resonates with you in some way and is supporting you in some way. If you have other tips for some of the people that are watching on how to handle disappointment or how you're handling your own stress and disappointment during these times, please add those to the comments below, and let's support each other here in this Heart Breathings community. Oh, and another exciting thing, good news, is we are getting really close to 30,000 subscribers on this YouTube channel, which just completely blows my mind. I never dreamed that I would have almost 30,000 subscribers, but it looks like it's going to happen within the next month. So if you have any ideas about how we can celebrate this, a virtual party, some giveaways, a special video event, I don't even know what to do. I was even thinking, how on Instagram sometimes people are doing those number balloons that are gold Mylar balloons. And then I was like, where am I going to get helium right now? I can't even go out. So that's probably not going to happen. But it's what could we do to celebrate 30K? Because I feel like it's such a milestone that I just wasn't sure I would ever hit. So I want to celebrate it in some way with you guys. So let me know if you have any cool ideas about how to do that. But that's where we are right now. Let's keep it in conversations. Let's check in with each other and make sure everything's going okay. And I hope to chat with you in the comments. You are in my thoughts. You are not alone. And together we are going to get through this. All right, guys, if you're new to this channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. My videos might not be as regular as they used to be, so I will get them out as often as I can and try to be as supportive as I can during this time. So I'd love to have you as part of our community. Help us get to that 30K number as soon as possible. It would be awesome. I appreciate you all. And otherwise, I will see you guys in my next video, actually coming up in maybe just tomorrow. We'll see if I can get it recorded in time, where it's just gonna be a fun video on looking at my pen pouch or pencil case collection. So nothing but eye candy there. So hopefully you'll enjoy that, and I will see you for that next video. Bye, y'all.